Just to recap, so the second, as we've already said, the second, third, and fourth lessons, and Mary kind of provided the framework or outline of those, are dealing with savings. So this lesson that we just saw is getting at the issue of establishing a savings goal. So thinking about listing everything that you want, or at least 10 things that you want, and then choosing from that list something. First of all, what are short-term goals, what are long-term goals, and then choosing from that list the one thing that you want and for which we are going to establish a savings plan. Okay, and that's what this third lesson starts to get into. So let me just introduce it briefly, and then we'll ask the representative or representatives from group 2, I guess it would be, to come up and talk about what they viewed as challenges and tips for this lesson. So it will start naturally with a review of exercise 5.2. This is where they determined, this is my savings goal. I am going to save for X. Okay? In addition, they set out what they believe is an estimate of the price of that item. Okay? So the first part of this lesson we'll be talking about savings plans, which really just hits the idea of you figure out how much money you need and then break it down into how long you're willing to save and then how much you need to save each period, or how much you can save each period and therefore how long you're willing to save to meet that goal. That's covered here in the savings plans, and it's done both through an exercise, an example, as well as the students individually working through it. Then there'll be a class discussion of the concept of incentives in general, and then a discussion of savings options. This is focused on savings location alternatives. So you'll go through things like a piggy bank, saving the money with my parents, so giving them the money to hold for me, putting the money in a savings account, putting the money in savings bonds, and with the students you'll consider the pluses and minuses of each of those strategies. Okay? So this just kind of outlines the lesson. I'm sure that the group came up with much more information to communicate. So I will turn it over to, perfect.
All right.
So let me stop you for 1 second. Come on up. No, come up. But we want to make sure that you're getting picked up on this mic. And so we're going to put this nice and close. Oh, if it doesn't come crashing down, that is. How's that? Do you think? All right.
All right. So, like she was just discussing, we start with a review, and then we come over here to the decision grid that looks like this. It does on, so this has an opposite side, and it gives you some suggestions, but we also talked about kind of giving our students more opportunity to be creative and giving them the opportunity to think of some maybe more fun places, or maybe some more, just speaking from my fifth graders, some more ridiculous ideas, because they have a tendency to be very silly. So giving them the option to really pick where they might think somebody might save their money. For opportunities, it really gets kids thinking about, well, we know that money goes to a bank, but why does it go there? Why is that the best place? Why don't we keep it in our house? Why is it that the bank is the best place for it? Or is the bank the best place for it? Is there maybe a better opportunity or a better solution for them? But for the most part, we are trying to stress that a bank is the best. Again, it kind of reviews the cost. You're saving for something. What does it cost? The next part was really thinking in incremental of, this breaks it down because there's 3 criteria. Safety, is your money safe where you keep it? What are the incentives, and what's the accessibility? So we're starting to think about those 3 pieces of where they're going to keep their money. So that's going to kind of break it down, and then that's going to give you overall that's going to help them decide what's the best place, rather than just mom and dad or the TV says the bank's the best place. Gives them some experience with new vocabulary and going back to some of those, reviewing those words that we learned before, and really giving them a chance to be creative. That's where giving them the chance to think of their own ideas of where they want to put things. That's where that comes in, is really giving the kids a chance to be creative and think in their own minds, where else could I put my money, and why is the bank the best place? Some of the challenges that we started talking about was background. Not all of our kids really do have family accessibility to a bank. They don't see mom and dad going to a bank, or they don't see family going to a bank. So why is it? Why don't we just deal in cash? Why don't we keep that all in hand? So that'll give them information of why we do and it might be a challenge for those kids who don't see that happening in their homes. Another thing is home issues. We talked in our group about a lot of times as teachers, especially in different schools, we try to stay away from money issues because you don't want to point out any kid and make them the outlier and make them an example. We want to kind of keep that far away from our classroom. So that's going to be something that we have to figure out how we're going to deal with as teachers. But we talked about that there's a lot of different ways, maybe just really clarifying, well, if mom and dad give you money, where do mom and dad get that money from? Or if you don't have you don't have anybody who will pay you for chores, where are you going to get that from? And the last thing is this lesson could tend to be very sit, very think, write, and we really wanted to give all the students an opportunity to move and experience and work with different things.